My parents kept breaking into my apartment, even through my window. So I moved without telling them and let them panic. My name is Diana Shepard. I'm 26 years old. And 3 months ago, I moved into my very first apartment in downtown Portland. For the first time in my life, I had my own space, my own schedule, my own silence. No more living under my parents' roof. No more daily check-ins. No more questions like, "Where are you going?" or "Why didn't you answer?" On move-in day, my mom asked for a spare key. "Just for emergencies, sweetheart," she said, smiling softly as she clipped it onto her keychain. "What if there's a fire? What if you get hurt?" It sounded reasonable. Parents worry. That's what they do. So I gave her the spare key and didn't think twice about it. Until that Wednesday evening. I got home around 6:30 p.m., dropped my bag by the door and froze. The couch looked wrong. The pillows were rearranged. Then I noticed the kitchen counter. 3 Tupperware containers set neatly lined up. Lasagna, potato salad, chocolate chip cookies. Food I hadn't made. My phone buzzed. A text from my mom. "Hope you found the food. Stop by later to drop the containers. Your place is coming together nicely, but you really should add more color to the living room. Love you." My stomach dropped. I called her immediately. "Diana, did you get my text?" she said cheerfully. "Mom," I said slowly, "you can't just let yourself into my apartment." "I brought you dinner," she replied. "You've been working so hard. You never eat properly." "That's not the point. You need to call first. You need permission." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh, honey," she said. "You're my daughter. I don't need an appointment to see you. That key is for emergencies. And you not eating is an emergency to me," she said brightly. "Did you try the lasagna? I used Aunt Carol's recipe." I pressed my fingers to my temples. "Mom, please, call next time." All right. Don't be so sensitive." She hung up. I stood there holding my phone, trying to convince myself I was overreacting. She meant well. Right. I should have asked for the key back that night. Because 2 weeks later, I found something else. A purple shampoo bottle sitting in my shower. Not mine. Not my brand. Not even close. It was Ashley's. My younger sister. 23. Lives an hour away in Salem. I was still staring at the bottle when my phone rang. "Morning, sweetheart," my mom said. "Did Ashley leave you a thank you note?" "A thank you note for what?" "For letting her stay over last night. She had a date in Portland and didn't want to drive home." My blood pressure spiked. "You gave her access to my apartment without asking me?" "She's your sister," my mom said. "You would have said yes anyway." "That's not the point." "Oh, don't be dramatic," she replied. "She slept on your couch. You weren't even home." That phrase hit hard. You weren't even home. As if that made it okay. "This is my home," I said firmly. "You don't get to decide who stays there." "You're being selfish," she snapped. "Family helps family." Then she hung up. I sat on the edge of my bathtub, holding a $90 shampoo bottle, wondering if I was losing my mind. Was I selfish? Or was something seriously wrong? That afternoon, I drove to my parents' house. Same red front door. Same garden gnomes. My dad was in the garage, smiling until he saw my face. "I need my key back," I said. My mom froze. "What key?" "The spare." "I want it back." Her face hardened. "We're not giving it back." "If you don't," I said calmly, "I'll change the locks." She gasped. "You wouldn't dare." I looked her straight in the eyes. "Watch me." That night, I changed every lock. For 2 weeks, I felt safe. Until I came home one evening and found my mother sitting on my couch, holding a magazine. Tea on the table. She smiled and held up a new key. "I called your landlord," she said proudly. "He understood. I'm your mother." My world tilted. I stood frozen in my living room. My mother was sitting on my couch. My couch. With a cup of tea on the coffee table and a magazine open in her lap, like she lived there. "How did you get in here?" I asked. She smiled calmly and held up a shiny new key. "I called your landlord," she said. "Such a nice man." I explained I'm your mother and needed access in case of emergencies. My heart started pounding. "You went behind my back," I said slowly. "You manipulated my landlord into giving you a key." "Don't be dramatic, Diana," she replied. "I have every right to check on you." "No," I snapped. "You don't. Get out." She stood up slowly, gathering her purse with exaggerated care. I cannot believe how you're speaking to me, she said. I came here out of love, out of concern. That's not love, I said. That's control. Her face hardened. I'll be keeping this key, she said, for emergencies. The door closed behind her with a soft click. I stood there shaking. That night, I called my landlord. Mr. Henderson, I said firmly, under no circumstances are you to give anyone access to my apartment without my written permission. That includes my parents. He apologized repeatedly. I didn't realize there was an issue. Your mother was very convincing. She lied. I said, if it happens again, it's a lease violation. I changed the locks again. I sent certified letters. I documented everything. For 3 weeks, there was peace. I started to believe maybe, just maybe, they finally understood. I was wrong. I came home late one evening and immediately felt it. Something was off. The air smelled like food. My bedroom door was open. Fresh laundry, my laundry, was folded neatly on my bed. In the kitchen, a casserole set in my fridge. Still warm. A sticky note was taped on top. You're not eating enough. Love, Mom. My hand started shaking. I walked slowly toward the window. The screen was on the floor. The window was open. Outside, attached to the building, was a decorative trellis. Thick wood climbing roses. Strong enough to climb. My stomach dropped. She hadn't used a key. She had climbed through my window. I called her immediately. Did you find the casserole? She asked cheerfully. Did you climb through my window? I demanded. Silence. Mom, answer me. Well, the door was locked, she said defensively. What was I supposed to do? You broke into my apartment. It's not breaking in when it's family. That's not normal, I said, my voice shaking. That's illegal. If you just give us a key like a normal daughter, she snapped, I wouldn't have to go to such extremes. This is your fault, she added. I hung up. I called my dad next. He sighed heavily. Your mother worries about you, he said. She can't sleep at night knowing you're alone. She climbed through my window. You're making this harder than it needs to be, he replied. Just give us a key. That's when it hit me. They weren't confused. They weren't scared. They believed they were entitled to my life. No lock would stop them. No boundary mattered. They didn't see me as an adult. They saw me as property. That night, I sat on my couch staring at the window. I could change the locks forever. Install cameras. Add alarms. They would always find a way. There was only one solution. I had to disappear. The decision was already made. I didn't argue. I didn't threaten. I didn't announce anything. I planned. The new apartment was in the Pearl District. 20 stories of glass and steel. A doorman named Victor who took his job very seriously. Key fobs. Cameras. Guest sign-in required. No spare keys. No exceptions. It cost $400 more a month than my old place. Worth every dollar. I signed the lease on a Tuesday morning. Took the keys. Told no one. For 2 weeks, I lived a double life. I packed a little at a time. One bag here. One box there. Nothing noticeable. I told my boss I needed Friday off for a medical appointment. Rented a moving truck under my friend Stephanie's name. I asked 2 friends, Stephanie and Olivia, for help. They didn't know my parents. They weren't on social media with them. Perfect. You're really not telling them? Stephanie asked as she carried a box. If I do, I said, they'll show up. Or follow me. That shut her up. By 3 p.m., my apartment was empty. No couch. No bed. No dishes. No photos. I cleaned like my life depended on it. At 5:30, I walked through the empty space one last time. Then I locked the door and dropped the keys into my landlord's mailbox. Gone. That night, I unpacked in my new place. Hung curtains. Set up my bed. Made tea. For the first time in months, I slept without anxiety. Saturday passed. Then Sunday, Mom texted me a recipe. I replied with a thumbs-up emoji. Dad sent a photo of his truck. I said, looks great. Then Monday came, and I stopped responding. By Tuesday afternoon, 17 missed calls. 12 texts. Diana, call me. Where are you? Why aren't you answering? I ignored them. Wednesday brought voicemails. Mom's voice was shaking now. Sweetheart, please call us back, we're worried. Deleted. Thursday morning, 23 missed calls. The last voicemail made my stomach twist. We're at your apartment, it's empty. Diana, where are you? I waited 1 full hour. Then I called back. Mom answered before the first ring finished. Diana! Oh, thank God! Where are you? I stayed calm. Why are you at my apartment? Silence. Mom, I said. Why were you there? We were worried, she whispered. I didn't answer for 2 days, I said. And your response was to break into my home. Again. Dad took the phone. Where are you? He demanded. I moved. You what? I moved because you refused to respect my boundaries. Give us your new address, he said immediately. No, what do you mean, no? I mean you don't get it. Mom grabbed the phone back. You can't cut us off. I'm not cutting you off, I said. I'm protecting myself. If you want a relationship with me, I continued, it happens on my terms. Coffee, public places, phone calls. But you will never enter my home again. Diana, please, Mom started. I hung up. That was 4 months ago. They still don't know where I live. We've met twice for coffee. Both times were tense. Mom cried. Dad barely spoke. But they haven't followed me. They haven't demanded my address. They're learning. Slowly. Last week, my mom texted me. I made pot roast. Your favorite. Would you like to come over for dinner on Sunday? I stared at the message for a long time. 4 months earlier, she had climbed through my window. 4 months earlier, my parents believed they had the right to my space, my keys, my life. I typed back slowly. I'll be there at 6. Dinner was quiet. No surprise visits. No lectures. No questions about my address. Just cautious conversation and long pauses. Mom cried at one point. Dad barely spoke. But something was different. They were careful. They were listening. They didn't lose me because I moved. They almost lost me because they refused to see me as an adult. Love without respect isn't love. It's control. And boundaries aren't punishments. They're protection. They still don't have my address. They probably never will. We meet in public. We talk on the phone. And for the first time in my life, I feel safe. Leaving didn't make me cruel. It made me free. I didn't disappear to punish them. I disappeared so I could breathe. I'm not their little girl anymore. I'm Diana, 26 years old, with a home that only I have the keys to.